When most people think of the 1984 Pontiac Firebird or Trans Am, the first image that comes to mind is this beautiful car with its flowing curves and aggressive sporty presence. The third-generation Firebird is widely regarded as a design masterpiece. The designers truly created a piece of rolling automotive art. Unfortunately, the build quality, manufacturing processes, and overall structural engineering did not live up to the same standard as the exterior design. That is an unfortunate reality, and it serves as a reminder that appearance does not always go hand in hand with substance. Still, facts are facts. And despite its flaws, this particular 1984 Trans Am remains a very attractive car. I love the unique asymmetrical hood scoop, the sleek pop-up headlights, and the overall styling. This car could even be equipped with high-end Recaro bucket seats and stylish alloy wheels. Visually, it is absolutely fantastic. What many people do not realize is that the Firebird was not offered as just one pure sports car. For reasons that only General Motors truly understood, they believed it was necessary to offer multiple versions of a car that was already positioned as sporty. As a result, buyers could choose between the base Firebird, the Firebird SE, and the Trans Am. The SE was intended to be the more luxurious version, even though the name stood for Sport Edition, which is admittedly confusing. In practice, the SE was the luxury-oriented Firebird, similar in concept to the Camaro Berlinetta. You had the base Camaro, the Berlinetta, and then the Z/28 for maximum performance. The Firebird lineup followed a similar philosophy. At first glance, you might assume a relatively lightweight sports car with a four-cylinder engine would still feel reasonably responsive. Unfortunately, that was not the case. The Firebird was actually quite heavy for a sports car, weighing over 2,800 pounds. The Iron Duke produced only 92 horsepower. That resulted in a 0 to 60 miles per hour time of around 14 seconds, or closer to 15 seconds with the automatic transmission. The performance was terrible, completely disastrous. This is likely why the Iron Duke did not last long in the Firebird lineup. Even buyers who were not chasing speed still wanted enough power to escape dangerous situations. This engine could barely pull itself along, especially when equipped with accessories like power steering and power brakes. The car shown here does not have air conditioning, but it does have power steering and power brakes, which already reduce its limited output. Now imagine adding a typical GM air conditioning compressor. Those compressors could consume 6 or 7 horsepower. That drops output from 92 horsepower down to roughly 86 horsepower. That is brutal. Here is the surprising part. There is currently an Iron Duke Firebird listed for sale on eBay, and it can be yours for around $6,500. This example wears a two-tone gold and chocolate brown paint scheme. Honestly, I cannot think of a more appropriate color combination for a four-cylinder Firebird, and I have to admit it suits the car remarkably well. While the original owners skipped anything exciting under the hood and did not order air conditioning, they did opt for wire-style wheel covers. It is unclear whether the white wall tires were original, but they were likely an option. There is no T-top roof here. This car has a solid roof, which is probably a blessing. The structural rigidity of T-top Firebirds was shockingly poor. Pontiac was aggressively reducing weight during this era, and T-top cars flexed, creaked, and rattled constantly. A solid roof was the better choice. Design highlights. Beautiful but fragile. The real tragedy is how good the design actually is. The windshield is raked at over 60 degrees. The A-pillars are incredibly thin. The raised hood lines look fantastic. Visually, this car is stunning. Unfortunately, it was not engineered to the same standard as it was styled. The seller of this particular car is not a great photographer, so there are limited images. You see a front three-quarter view and a straight rear view. At this time, base Firebirds did not even feature tinted glass. The center panel with the Firebird emblem looks like a fuel door, but it is not. The fuel door is located on the driver's side. This third-generation Firebird was also the first to feature the massive rear glass hatch. That rear glass was extremely expensive to manufacture. The scrap rate was high because the glass had to be curved precisely while maintaining acceptable optical clarity. Libby Owens Ford produced these panels, and while they complement the steep windshield beautifully, they were a costly design choice. Inside this base third-generation Firebird, the interior is acceptable. You get bucket seats, a center console, and a three-spoke steering wheel. It is not beautiful, but it is functional. One particularly interesting detail is the extensive use of Allen head screws throughout the interior. When the design debuted in 1982, these appear on the center console and door panels and seem to hold everything together. The catch is that many of these screws are fake. They are plastic pieces molded to look like real fasteners. Some are real, some are not, and without a factory service manual, it is nearly impossible to tell the difference. I mention this because I own a third-generation Firebird myself. You absolutely need the service manual before attempting any repairs. In the glove box area, there is not even a proper compartment. Higher-end models received a small pouch, while base cars only had an elastic strap. After more than 40 years, that elastic is essentially useless. The center console lid is another weak point. This car appears well cared for, as the padded lid, which commonly warps, is still intact. Most interior materials in these Firebirds were poorly made and tend to deteriorate over time. Despite its flaws, this particular example appears to be rust-free underneath. It has around 60,000 miles and looks remarkably clean. If you truly want a four-cylinder Firebird, examples like this are extremely rare. At least you get one signature Pontiac feature: orange gauge needles and orange backlighting. Pontiac began establishing this visual identity during this period, and it would remain a brand signature for decades. You can also clearly see that this car lacks air conditioning by the HVAC controls, which only show heater and defrost positions. If you are interested in a four-cylinder Firebird, and this is absolutely a judgment-free zone, I genuinely think it would be cool to own one. I have owned my third-generation Trans Am for 20 years. It rattles, even with low mileage, but it still looks fantastic. Four-cylinder Firebirds are extremely rare. Over the past decade, I have only seen 2 or 3 for sale. If you want a unique conversation piece at a car show for relatively little money, this could be the perfect choice. Fuel economy would be decent, although performance with the automatic transmission would be painfully slow. At least with only 92 horsepower, you do not have to worry as much about destroying the automatic transmission. All 1982 Firebirds used the same turbo-hydromatic 200C transmission, which was marginal at best. My 1982 Trans Am has one, and I drive it very carefully. I never go full throttle because I am convinced one hard shift might be its last. Behind a four-cylinder producing roughly 130 pound-feet of torque, the transmission is probably fine. Behind a 5.0-liter V8, not so much. My car has the 165 horsepower Crossfire fuel-injected V8, which was discontinued after 1983. Once again, thank you for watching.